What's up, Army? Welcome back to Redemption 46 Studios. I'm Nick.
I'm Keith.
I'm Curtis.
And I'm Jarek.
You know the vibe. I seen the picture. I seen the thumbnail. BTS versus K-pop video essay. This is a special Discord request from Army Not Army. Love you to death. One of our favorite redeemers. Literally jump on the Patreon just to see paragraphs of what she has to say about anything that's
She's
going
definitely
dissertation.
Yes.
top three redeemers.
We ain't gonna rank.
Yeah, I ain't gonna rank. I ain't gonna rank. But I just love how she's also respectful.
Like we noticed her.
I appreciate her
top three,
and she's been around, been Army for a minute too.
You know what's funny?
All the concert effort.
She day one.
That's put in.
I don't know about. I don't think she said day one, but I know she's been around for a minute.
But no more dreams.
You know what's funny though?
No more dream day.
Let me shut the
on the
fuck up.
Discord.
Y'all can see we be showing love to our redeemers because
they be showing us.
And I told her like that's the least I've ever seen you type ever.
Yeah. Nah. Spill your beans, love.
But no long talk. Let's jump into this. I don't know what to expect. As y'all can see, we want to give y'all a good treat. Probably have a great conversation after we done. But dive in, bro.
For sure.
Let's go.
God tier.
What? Who boy? Same let me stop.
Whose man is this?
What's up?
I'm gonna talk about BTS again. It's time for a video essay.
The more you know.
Yes.
By Parker Brothers.
So BTS are really big. They're really big.
Oh.
They're big beyond the imagined constraints that groups like theirs are meant to reach. They've shattered numerous records for South Korean artists, including easily breaking the record for highest-selling South Korean album with a 7-track EP that came out less than a year ago called Map of the Soul Persona. According to the Hollywood Reporter, they account for almost $5 billion of the South Korean economy, rivaling the value of that of Samsung and Hyundai. Those are multinational, multi-billion-dollar corporations being rivaled by a 6-year-old music group from an indie entertainment company. And in response, the rest of the world is confused as
their fans, I swear to you, it's like the Beatles have like Lazarus just risen from the dead. Like their people are
Map of the Soul, which has already had 3 million pre-orders. We have some very big fans right outside the studio today.
Like millions of like, let's make them win. Like a million retweets and everything. It makes me and Shawn Mendes like, how do we get this type of fan?
K-pop is a genre of music, and in order to be a K-pop artist, you got to go through K-pop college, and that's actually a real thing.
It's understandable that people would be confused. How could a music group whose primary language is Korean dominate international markets to the point of being the best-selling record globally in 2019 with one EP that had one single? In order to understand, at least well enough, how BTS became this big, you'd have to have an understanding of South Korean history, the South Korean music industry, international hip-hop, and social media fandom at the least. And most publications either aren't able to gain these understandings or don't care to. So instead, most of the conversation focuses on one ostensibly understandable part of BTS's identity: K-pop. I mean, after all, BTS are a K-pop group, right?
Are they?
Maybe. I think. You can't gain a true understanding about BTS's rise to success without understanding the world they came from.
You said rise. Roll credit.
The problem is, most people don't understand K-pop or BTS as much as they think they do. What do you think when you think of K-pop, casual audience member? I'd guess you think of screaming teenage girls, perfect looks and choreography, simple English hooks, and of course that spooky underbelly that every magazine and their mama has lined up to cover over the years. There are 2 problems with this. 1, BTS have succeeded in great part due to their divergence from these common K-pop qualities. But when BTS and their success are constantly grouped in with K-pop by Western media, the people being introduced to them who only know those things are going to think that BTS success comes down to those things, which could be further from the truth, but still isn't really true. And 2, K-pop is a lot more complicated than the ideas everyone has of it. Even the people that study and discuss Korean music disagree on their definitions of what K-pop is and what the term K-pop even means. I've been tangentially in the media industry for less than 2 years and covering BTS for less than a year, less than half a year. And I'm here to tell you that the media industry is not covering BTS as well as they should in the West. I started a Twitter account with the goal of explaining these topics in a form that blends journalism and social media. It's a Twitter account called TY But Disagree. Today we're launching the first episode of our TY But Disagree video series, hosted right here on Baby Gang, my YouTube channel, and fake media company. If any of this is confusing, it doesn't matter. Here's what matters. Today we're going to talk about BTS in relation to K-pop. We're going to learn about what K-pop is, what BTS are, and whether or not BTS are even a K-pop group in the first place. And before you close this video and dismiss that question as absurd, I assure you, this stuff is way more nuanced than you think it is. Part 1. What is K-pop? Is K-pop a genre or an industry?
Yes.
Both?
Or no. A 2017 article by TK Park on his popular blog Ask a Korean, entitled K-pop is not a genre, asserts that the term loosely only refers to popular music of Korea, which of course includes many types of genres and labels. Park mentions the rock group FT Island and the solo group IU. These two artists make different styles of music but can both be classified as K-pop. Therefore, K-pop can't be a genre, but more of a generalized classification. Simple enough, right? Well, no. It's important to remember that genre classification in general does not strictly refer to musical stylings. At least, this is the assertion held in a response article by Lizzie Parker at the blog Beyond Hallyu from the same year, entitled, Is K-pop a genre? Yes. Yes it is. That's the title, I didn't exaggerate that. Parker does not entirely throw out Park's valid assertion that K-pop is a loose classification, meaning popular music of Korea, but contends that this makes it a genre all the same, as all genre classifications have this same looseness. Quote, no one actually uses genres to make concrete, definitive lists of specific kinds of music. They're relational terms we use so we can form an understanding of a piece of music, often before we have listened to it, in relation to our existing cultural reference points, and further understand our and others' enjoyment, or lack thereof. As an example, the pop genre is the messiest classification you can imagine. Louis Capaldi and Lizzo both have two of the top songs on pop charts right now, as of my making this video, but one of them makes sad white boy folk pop, and another one of them makes funk, soul, and disco adjacent rap music. They're both pop artists.
Still both pop artists, though.
Accessible music quality.
Pop literally means popular.
It's just popular.
Accessible time signatures, conventional mixes, but from a technical standpoint and from a cultural standpoint, they couldn't be any more different from each other. Both authors make valid points. Given that K-pop basically means Korean pop, that means that this sloppy genre classification still qualifies in a way. The only difference is the subcategorization of this music being primarily or entirely created and marketed by the Korean music industry. Most
fucking that shit up.
You'll see performed by Koreans or people of Korean descent. In the United States, genre classification has strong ties to racial and cultural barriers. As described by the musicologist Robert Fink in a PS Mag piece by Jack Denton, quote, the way genre works is to create categories that are partly musical, but also have a lot to do with the perceived identity of the artists and the target market. This could partially explain why K-pop is such a prevalent term in the United States, but is by many accounts used far less in Korea. Instead, the term idol music is used to describe what Americans typically deem K-pop, as in the groups and solo acts who create hybridized Korean songs with Western pop music qualities, and usually present with precise choreography and makeup. Now that we've deconstructed the term K-pop a little bit, let's talk about what idol music is and where it came from. In order to do that, a brief history of music in South Korea.
Japan.
For centuries up
Here
until
we go
the
again.
1800s, Korean culture was shaped by Sino-centrist ideals, deeply influenced by their proximity and allyship with China.
Nah, he's already
This
a little
led
bit
to
more
the
detailed.
preeminence of Korean
Yeah.
Confucianism, which entailed the emphasis on things like a stringent shared moral code in social situations, a respect for elders, and a necessitation of ritualism. Those rituals extend to the traditional music styles of Korea. Works which followed a pentatonic music scale, involved Chinese-derived instruments and garb, and included genres like pansori, which is a type of storytelling via vibrato-heavy, open-throated pentatonic scale singing. These styles of music involved very conservative performances. The body is still, the clothes are unrevealing of any flesh. The lyrics were even oriented towards Confucian ideals of family and morality. Japanese rule over Korea led greatly to the introduction of Western styles of music, particularly classical styles and even balladic styles that translate more directly into modern pop music. Then after World War II, Japanese rule over Korea ended and Western artistic influences came from the United States more than anything, especially through the brief and turbulent period of American occupation.
Sorry, no.
Things ebbed and flowed and changed over the decades. South Korean audiences became more and more appreciative of Western sounds, particularly as the television and the karaoke machine grew to become highly popular and as the economy improved. Hip-hop became a phenomenon in the West during the 80s, and its influence disseminated throughout the world. Soteji and Boys debuted in 1990 and completely abandoned pentatonic scale structure, making full use of diatonic hip-hop, rock, and pop sounds. They also incorporated dancing, which had been utilized successfully by artists like Sobang Cha before them. They weren't the first to do these things they did, but they were the most influential, particularly in how they synthesized these elements, how they reformed the conventional music TV formats and other music formats, how they built a really strong fan base of young people, and their overall explosive entry into the Korean music industry signaled a change in things to come. Soteji and Boys, by the way, were pretty badass. They wrote their own stuff and they played their own instruments, and despite their music not carrying the same leftist ideals necessarily that previous attempts at Western music had in South Korea, they were still unafraid to challenge status quo and older generations in a very un-Confucian way. Notably, in 1988, South Korea lifted travel restrictions on its citizens. After Soteji, Westernization in Korean pop music accelerated quickly, with the rise of groups like HOT, who are considered the first idol group as they were the first to be scouted, trained, and put together to become a hit boy band, as well as the rise of Korean dramas like the big 2002 hit Winter Sonata. A sudden, drastic, and ongoing increase of intrigue in South Korean culture and art began globally. This phenomenon is referred to as Hallyu. As a side note, I recommend that those interested in Hallyu read Kim Bok-rae's Past, Present, and Future of Hallyu paper, as well as John Lie's What is the K in K-pop, which greatly informed this history section of the essay that I'm doing. In the former, Kim states the following of Hallyu and its focus of decentralizing Western culture by adapting it. Quote, under the current circumstances, the Hallyu boom is emerging in the modernized/industrialized East Asia, where people with an economic power have a strong desire to be the cognitive subjects of their cultural activities. In this context, Hallyu can no longer be considered a simple cultural acculturation, but a transcultural phenomenon, or a process of cultural power reorganization through the complex/dynamic movements of people, mass medias, and transnational capitals. Thanks to this eventual embrace and aim for perfection in the realm of popular Western forms, South Korea's economy is boosted drastically year by year by its cultural exports. Understanding Korean history teaches us a few things. One, that Korean culture is divided between past and present, between Western ideals and the remnants of Confucianist, Sinocentric ideals. While South Korean society still retains these moral codes and customs related to respect and ritualism, it's also being pulled quickly in the direction of more liberal, rebellious, anti-traditional ideas, in part because these ideas are fueling boosts to the country's economy. This conflict manifests in the music itself and the music industry, which is very dead set on upholding certain traditions and approaches while using art forms like hip-hop that are built on anti-establishment, anti-ritual values. This creates a tension within the music that is ironically, uniquely Korean, despite the fact that your average K-pop song bears little resemblance to anything that existed in Korea before the 20th century. Thusly, it teaches us that K-pop is more than just a genre or an industry. It is a cultural export and somewhat antagonistically to the people who make money from K-pop, a progressive cultural movement, in a way. Additionally, K-pop is not just a genre or an industry specifically, but a format where music of various genres comes with a dance/visuals package. So yes, K-pop is a genre in a way because it speaks to a direct social cultural concept that relates to what we understand basically is Hallyu and the underpinnings of South Korean society shifting as it balances the traditional with the progressive, the old and the new, both of which can be debated as potentially more expedient than expressive. What's funny and unsurprising is that the artists that seem to shirk conventionality and tradition the most, against the grain of what makes up most of this genre that's supposed to be export friendly, are the ones that become the most successful and the most exported. That can be said of Soteji, and it can be said of Psy, who very much did not look or sound like the hotties you'd see in HOT, but still absolutely shattered the international music market with 2012's Gangnam Style. A song which, true story, is actually a commentary about the nouveau riche young Koreans attempting to flex their material wealth and coolness like the kids in the city of Gangnam. It's basically the dance craze EDM version of Beverly Hills by Weezer. So yeah, Soteji and his boys, don't forget the boys, they succeeded from shirking conventionality, and then Psy succeeded from shirking conventionality, and am I forgetting somebody? Part 2. Who are BTS and why are they so big? Okay, so Teji and Boy's debut. They make Korean pop rap a thing. They become hugely influential. And then Lee Soo-man, president of SM
What's the
Entertainment,
Soo-man?
realizes that black music is going to be key to constructing K-pop in the image of Teji and others. So he scouts an attractive boy band that blends sex appeal with hip-hop and calls it HOT. HOT succeeds, and soon floods of boy groups and girl groups follow to varying degrees of success, often paired with behind-the-scenes controversies, fan wars, slave contracts, and everyone's favorite subject of Twitter arguments, cultural appropriation. Hip-hop becomes super popular in Korea as fans of the genre and culture devise new ways in which the Korean language can be bent into rap music without sounding awkward or overly imitative of Americans and the uncomfortable ideas Korean society had of black American culture. Yikes. To thank for this, you have OGs like Verwichin and Tiger JK of Drunken Tiger, but you also have Epic High to thank, led by Korean-Canadian rapper and Stanford graduate Tableau. Fuck you if you don't think he graduated from Stanford. Epic High subcultural circles, but also in the
I like this guy.
in the midst of this booming new K-pop music industry, and by K-pop I do mean idol music, as well as the rise of rap music in the mainstream, a successful idol music producer named Pang Si-hyuk starts his own record label in 2005 called Big Hit Entertainment.
The
label struggles with money, but stays afloat by working with different groups. In 2010, one of Big Hit's producers, P-Dog, and an underground rapper named Sleepy are drunk. Sleepy says to P-Dog, "Hey bro, do you want to see this teenage rapper I found in an audition? He's pretty dope."
Runs
P-Dog says,
Rhonda.
"Bro, yes." So Sleepy finds these underground Korean rap videos of this one 16-year-old kid named Kim Namjoon. P-Dog is like, "Bro, he's dope." And Sleepy is like, "Bro, I told you." And then P-Dog decides to tell Pang about Kim Namjoon. And then Pang is like, "Holy cow, he's dope." And then P-Dog is like, "I told you." And then Pang is like, "Shut up, I'm your boss." And P-Dog is like, and then Pang is like, "Bring this kid in immediately to audition for my label." So Namjoon comes in, he does the audition.
He looks 6'4" to me.
And he signs him on the spot. Now,
It's clearly 6'8".
Pang doesn't know what to do with this kid. He knows he's the real deal and is devoted to making him part of a bigger project to get him famous. And so he decides, I'm going to put Namjoon in a rap group, like Epic High. So they start holding auditions for rappers, and a bunch of them come and go. The second audition, which contained a video cattle call that has since become an infamous meme, brought in the group's second rapper, Min Yoongi, aka
Suga.
As time evolves, the idea morphs from being a rap group to being a rap-centric idol group, and Suga and Namjoon realize that they have to dance, which probably sucked for them. What you have to understand about Big Hit is that they were a small company, really small. They would never be able to compete on the level of big labels like SM and YG, who would cherry pick amazing talent, offer them the best potential rewards, and put them in a well-resourced, regimented training system. Big Hit had no trainee system in place when they brought in Namjoon, and scraped by to create one, brought in more members, and adapted with what they had. There are many clips and pics online from this time period, which include the group's senior member, Jin, paying for the youngest member, Jungkook's food out of his pocket instead of from funding they had from Big Hit, which was...
You a real one, Jin.
When it was finally time for BTS to debut, their act was sharpened and had resolve. They were going to wear dark clothes and do lots of acrobatics and shouts on stage. They were going to critique Korean society based on their own feelings and influences from groups like Epic High, as encouraged by Pang and as part of Big Hit's mantra of music for healing. They were going to film themselves a lot, capturing their struggle to get better from the beginning. Their second ever reality show featured the group heading to Los Angeles to get
After we come back from Vegas, guys.
their ethos. So how did this group succeed so much more than any other big group before them? Generally, I'd say it's because they blended the subversive, progressive virality of acts like Soteji and Boys and Psy with the well-trained dynamism of big groups like Big Bang and EXO. But perhaps more importantly, BTS, intentionally and inadvertently, had an ethos. Being a fan of BTS meant sharing in that ethos. BTS and Big Hit pushed music for healing. Each of their records have messages, implicit and explicit, which encourage social change, respect, and self-healing. Their first ever series of albums, known as the School Series, tackled the commodification of dreams and the pressure from older generations, themes that would later surface in anti-establishment anthems like Bepse and Paradise. Or take the later
Someone say Paradise?
album series as another example. The self-explanatory title bridges together a conceptualized album trilogy by the group which delved into themes of self-love and exploration of identity. And bear in mind that this kind of stuff, the trilogies, the thematic through lines, that's stuff that hadn't really been done in this format at all prior to BTS. and became influential moving forward. These albums were not only written to appeal to young audiences, but to guide young audiences to happier, healthier lives. And in this way, BTS perfectly called to the duality we see in the history of K-pop, blending the exportable Western ideals of progressivism, expressivism, and rebellion with the Confucian ideals of respect and patience and morality.
You on some shit right there.
Audiences as well as non-female audiences also highly approve of BTS, especially in Korea. They don't see the same facetiousness or consumerism in BTS's methodology. The general quality that gets brought up is authenticity or organicness, which are at their roots very confusing and toxic words, but still feel apropos in describing the unique quality of BTS. Let's look at another article written by the aforementioned TK Park alongside author Youngdae Kim. It examines the boy band label given to BTS and how BTS compare with other boy bands throughout history, saying this of their organic status. Quote, BTS's music comes across as organic because it is a natural output of the members' own minds. It is not a coincidence that BTS began their musical journey with hip-hop, the genre that perhaps has the highest bar for authenticity. Lead rapper Kim Namjoon writes his lyrics, so does Suga, who also produces, so does J-Hope, who also produces, and the rest of the group, all vocalists, all contribute to the creative process in their own ways as well. But BTS not only have a message and an independent spirit and a creative vitality, they also have a little engine that could story. A feel-good tale about this one under-resourced group that stuck to their guns and ended up succeeding past all the other much more well-resourced, richer, more conventional groups. It's also worth noting that BTS's fan base is incredibly culturally and demographically diverse in general. It includes all genders, all sexual orientations, all age.
Just for the Black Queens.
There aren't fans of
Except
other
that there was
groups of
Young
all
Thug.
demographics. It just doesn't split quite as evenly as BTS's fan base does, usually. You see tweets from older married couples excitedly ruminating on seeing BTS live for the first time. These dynamics are not only unprecedented within K-pop, they're unprecedented to any band anywhere in the world, perhaps including the Beatles, whose pop work and more subversive work mostly engaged younger and artsier audiences, while BTS appealed to all age groups and interest groups. When you simply label BTS as a K-pop group or as a boy band, and then paint their fan bases sex-crazed young women whose attraction to the group stems from physical attraction and general excitement and hysteria, you not only are sort of painting a bad image about young women in general.
You're completely wrong.
But you're also missing.
Well, that's a part of it. It's there. It's not like that's not there.
Oh yeah. It's not.
It's not the only thing though, but that shit is there.
Is it accurate at all? Part 3.
It's like
conclusion.
30% of what's going on.
It's a K-pop group.
18 plus. So like.
Yeah, they're a K-pop group. At least I think so. You might notice that I am doing this a bit different from the rest of the video. That's because I recorded this part a few days after the original video was recorded, because I wanted to redo this part and make sure that I worded it correctly, make sure that I, came off the way that I wanted to come off and articulated the points that I wanted.
Because you know that army gonna get on your ass.
You know how crazy that army is.
I respect down the street and shit like,
I don't take issue with anybody saying that BTS is
what you
a
said?
K-pop group, because categorization is pretty dumb and up to anybody to decide. And also I think it's pretty refreshing to hear that people want to take BTS and their achievements and put it in its own category. That's a beautiful thing in a way. I just think, for one, when you look at what BTS have done, from the fact that they came from the K-pop industry, that they accept Idol as a title, and they made it the center of one of their songs, one of their hits, Idol, and the fact that they've done reality shows and variety shows, first doing them on the network shows and then doing them on their own, the fact that they have similar release strategies to K-pop groups and how much output they do, the way that they combine different styles of music. I mean, they have their own unique blend of it, but it's
We need bro on the panel.
Pretty much resembles K-pop in a lot of ways. The fact that they sing in Korean,
feeling good here.
the fact that they, are in the same category when it comes to award shows and nominations as somebody like EXO or somebody like Blackpink.
Bro said he 2
they
years
just
in.
swept all the Desangs this past, season. I think ultimately what BTS do is
You gonna mention
take
EXO, but not
the
NCT.
format and the ideas of K-pop and rearrange them and edit them and
EXO
elevate
was
them
NCT
in many
before
ways.
NCT.
They don't
No, they
represent a
wasn't.
different category altogether
No,
from
no.
K-pop. To me, they represent a new horizon for it. They represent somebody pushing the boundaries of it and opening up the definition of K-pop and blazing a new trail for different artists who want to do K-pop to see what they did and learn from them. They're changing the definition a little bit and they're opening it up, but they're not necessarily separating themselves entirely from K-pop. I think ultimately what the problem is here is not necessarily whether or not you can classify BTS as K-pop, because like sure you can. The problem is that people are so predisposed categorizing them as K-pop before anything else. The problem is that people want to wash over the unique elements of the things that they do in order to just classify them as a K-pop group and attribute all their success and their glory to that. That's not fair and that's not smart. It's not smart even when you do it with other groups that have pushed the boundaries of K-pop, like a Sotej or like a 17 who write and produce their own music, like a G-Friend who are
17.
similar, like IU who does amazing conceptual work as well. I think that these people are not necessarily separate from K-pop, but you can classify them as so many more things than K-pop. You can classify BTS ultimately as a pop group or a pop rap group or whatever before you classify them as K-pop because they belong in the same category as someone like Taylor Swift or someone like Halsey who greatly respects and admires them, or Ariana Grande or Billie Eilish. I mean, these are the kind of artists that BTS find themselves in the same level of global success as. They're the type of artists that ultimately BTS are similar to in many ways.
I'm gonna go get sad and listen to some Halsey later.
K-pop is a part of their identity. It pretty much dominates the conversation unfairly. We are very easy going when it comes to classifying people regionally when they come from other regions, but not recognizing that we are regional artists ourselves in the United States. That's kind of poorly worded, but whatever. Ultimately, I think that's the message of Idol, is that they are K-pop artists, and you can call them that, but you can also call them many other things. They're proud of that part of themselves, but to define them as that would be to be missing the entirety of the picture. And that's something that happens with media a lot. We categorize things very easily, try to attribute things in nice little boxes without recognizing the big picture. Especially for something as gigantic as BTS is in terms of a worldwide movement, that's a huge mistake.
Once you acknowledge that the things people think about K-pop are not entirely true, you begin to see that the supposed separation between BTS and K-pop is not as drastic as one may think, while still being there to some degree. BTS mixed elements of hip-hop, a Black American genre, with indigenous Korean culture, like in their engendering of Han, a cultural emotional concept unique to the Korean people that involves a feeling of forlorn grief and resentment. Their music blends the Korean Confucian elements of traditional Korean society while also nailing elements of exploitation, of Western cultural ideas and progressivism that marked the rise of Hallyu. This does not mean that BTS's successes, as so many in global media seem to indicate, can be attributed to the rise of K-pop. The rise of BTS and the rise of K-pop are distant cousins. BTS's rise, while related to Hallyu and K-pop's growing popularity, is its own unique story. K-pop makes sense as a categorization for BTS in terms of one of the elements of who they are, but it does not make sense as a brush to paint over BTS's story the same way one can brush over Whitesnake's success as being attributed to hair metal. BTS do elude categorization in a way perhaps unmatched throughout pop music history, and for that they do live in their own category. But that doesn't make them not a K-pop group. It doesn't mean that the K-pop category can't describe them just as the hip-hop category or the general pop category can at times. Additionally, while many Koreans will tell you that K-pop is not popular amongst adults in Korea and is not treated as a serious genre, that doesn't mean it isn't a serious genre. The rise of poptimism in American music criticism, while controversial for a number of reasons, does center around the reality that pop music is still a legitimate and investigatable form of music, even at its most saturated and commoditized. This is especially true of pop artists who explore the form through writing and producing, much like Taylor Swift, Kendrick Lamar. Damn is a pop album and it slaps, don't act it. And of course BTS.
For what, for her? Yeah.
For years before the climate crisis comes to erase civilization, we will be discussing BTS. We will be figuring out how to categorize them, failing, and then analyzing why we failed. And in the present tense, we have to continue to pressure Western media to cover BTS like the unique phenomenon that they are, not as the symptom of a viral wave or an inhumane industry or a sex-fueled craze, but as a unique, game-changing group of artists. So much of the story.
Oh no, Shane Dawson was beefing with Army.
From dealing with accusations and faking.
I don't know why you say shit like that.
Album in 2015, to dealing with waves of hateful fan comments you could probably find in videos that have the term BTS and hardship in the title. This extends to fighting the label of K-pop, a label so unfairly loaded it can instantly turn global audiences away. From conservative country boys in the south of the US, to the hyper-masculinist audiences from conservative countries in Latin America, to the leftist communities appalled by the spooky K-pop industry. That, by the way, is its own thing that we gotta cover in a separate video. We forget often that neither BTS nor K-pop can be properly and unilaterally defined. They both wield complicated semiotic experiences. They not only symbolize so many things, but the things that they symbolize differ greatly from person to person. In studying BTS, we observe how a person or group of people's categorization can be theirs to champion or theirs to destroy. How your category can both be the thing you feel you are the least and the thing you feel you are the most. I said that in such a deep and cool way. God bless me. God bless me for acting like I'm a smart person. We done. Get off my hands. Off my hands. Thanks to everyone for helping me out. Thanks to Motivorahe. Thanks to my cat for the amazing support. I think she left. Check out our other videos moving forward and follow TY But Disagree on Twitter. I have been your host, Elliot Sang. If you have an opinion about this, and you probably do have an opinion about this, and you might be mad at me about what my opinion is, leave a comment. Be nice, but leave a comment. Or don't be nice. Fuck it, I can take it.
I like this guy.
Let me go give him a subscribe.
Yeah, we'll be doing more videos,
in up
man.
Here. You want to go in the order, or how you want to do it?
Let me get this off my chest first.
All right, go ahead.
This is definitely the most informative video I think we've watched, in my opinion.
Huh? Not an overview.
Yeah. And even some stuff may have been, but just particular details that he went into.
Put the research into it.
Yeah. Also, this might have been the first video that actually said like black culture and like when it referred to like hip hop or anything else.
Second.
Did someone literally say black?
Yeah, this is the most.
What's his YouTube
most
channel?
Descriptive. Nigga, we not leaving it. It's right.
I'm just trying to see.
Because most people will say like, you know, hip hop current in America and stuff, and I don't remember hearing anybody kind of give as many kind of black references or like go in a little more deeper into there or even touch cultural appropriation kind of how he did. So I kind of like took that away from the video, but this was really good.
I like that. I want it to be if we're gonna do that. I want it to be Black American.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
or even
true.
then, you gotta put more things on it too. It's not just black. It's not just American. It's Black American, but it's not just. It's urban Black American. You know what I'm saying? That's where it comes from because we have some Black Americans that's not from the urban areas. And, you know, as we had a lot of people, even older Black people who did not fuck with hip hop at all, and even some younger ones who were of age of hip hop artists when hip hop began to rise, who looked at it as street ghetto music and you know something. Shit, if you watched the Get Down, you saw a ball. You know what I'm saying? So
the bull wanted disco to continue.
Yeah, he was a damn gangster.
Yeah,
you know
he was a goon.
Yeah, so
which is why I said like I still consider this an overview because once you get into the particulars, everything can be broken down into.
But like, just bringing it back to what you said, I do agree. Super detailed, it was dope that the things that he said,
he wasn't scared to say certain things. I think other people might
some people
been.
shoot to, and it's not. Maybe some people not even scared. They just don't care to say it, or they don't think of it as deep as they think of explaining K-pop and Hallyu, which I look at K-pop objectively the same way I look at hip hop. It's a culture. It's a movement. It's a whole bunch of moving parts for one thing, but the music is like the big engine to it and everything like that. Well, go ahead, bro. Get your
No. I just wanted to lead with that and just say that I thought this was very like informative and stuff, and then was going to start gauging the room and start picking y'all. So go off. Y'all can go off.
I don't have too much to say. That joint was mad educational.
Any favorite parts? Any down parts?
Let's start with the first part that he said. So, do you agree, or do you? How does everyone feel about him saying?
You want to do that? Do y'all want to do the
break
whole?
it down in order?
Do y'all want to do the whole like is BTS K-pop or not?
Yeah, that's what I was going. Yeah,
go ahead. We can go down the road.
What you think?
Is BTS K-pop or are they not K-pop to you?
I think they surpassed it at a certain point. They were clearly K-pop. I think if you're going by the first definition that he went with, which K-pop is just popular music in Korea, the same way pop music here is just popular music in America, then yes, they're considered K-pop. But to me, seeing all the hard work they've done and like how they've progressed from like just a hip hop group to what they are now, certain acts are kind of surpassed certain genres. Like you can't really put them in genres because it's almost doing a disservice to them because you're just thinking they only do this one thing. So that's why it's kind of interesting that he pointed out how, you know, the term K-pop isn't really used over there. They're just known as idol groups. To me, I wouldn't even consider them they're definitely a pop group, but they've transcended the group, like the genre of groups, to a different level, because one, every single one of them can do everything. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that you typically don't see with groups. Some people have their own specialties, of course, like they're good at one or two things. They're multifaceted where they could be like, you know what, it's your turn, you sing. Or you know what, you sing. No, you rap. You could do this, you could do that. They can do anything. People like that, it's very difficult to categorize them because when you can do anything and everything and be good at it, because that's one thing, right? It'd be one thing if they were like really great at hip hop songs and then they were like
okay hip hop,
okay at like pop music, or like they were okay at making like vocal runs, but they're clearly not.
An elite shooter, rebounder, facilitator.
They put up a triple double out there every night, which is dope. So I don't consider them a K-pop group. I think they surpassed that term. That's where they came from, but they surpassed it. It's like saying Jay-Z is just a rapper.
He's an artist.
Good. That's a good bow on that.
How you feel of K-pop group? Or
as an American and as, you know, being on this journey from a technical standpoint, yes, I look at them as a K-pop group. But the more nuanced me, 8 months after starting this, 8 months into this, I see it more in the terms of how the Koreans say it. Because at the end of the day, they were an idol group. They were scouted. They were trained, you know, by the label. No matter if their label was independent, you know, whatever. They did go through.
They went
those
through that
things.
process.
Yes, they did go through the regiment and everything like that. Were they financially as well off as others? No, and that's where the difference goes, because them not being as financially well off or with a big company is what helped kind of bring some other things into the fold, into the BTS stew. And so, like you said, seeing the personal growth, individual growth, and growth as a unit, and seeing them, I respect them beyond them being a K-pop group. But like I said, as an American, they're a Korean group. They're making popular music. I can see that, but it's not me minimizing them. It's just saying that. But if someone asks me what's BTS and they don't know what BTS and K-pop is, yes, I'm going to tell them, well, it's a K-pop group, it's this and this. But obviously someone who wants to know them deeper, all right, bro, they're beyond K-pop. You know what I'm saying? Just like how, like you said, like Jay-Z is categorizing Hove as just a rapper, categorizing Drake as just a rapper. He's more than that. You know what I'm saying? Technical ability aside, Kanye West, I think Kanye West is the bigger thing to put out that, because I think him and BTS are like similar into the point of what he does, the driving force, the financial impact he has on industries and things like that. The creativity, the no two albums sound the same, you know, going in different directions and everything like that.
Even the struggle. Once we watched the documentary, finding
definitely
out
the struggle. You either love them or hate them. There's people who love BTS, people who hate them, and
hate them for no reason.
You know
apparently.
what I'm saying? Yeah, and even if you have a reason, like I said, just stand on that shit. You know what I'm saying? But so, you know, all of that to say, it just depends on who I'm talking to.
I respect the struggle.
Yeah.
I'm the same. I think from a technical standpoint, when you think globally, and like you guys just all said, when you break down what a K-pop group is or what an idol is, Yes. Once you in the Army, and regardless if you leave or anything else, technically you're a veteran for life, right?
3 years. You have to serve 3 years.
No, but I'm saying like after you're done, though, you're a veteran for life, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
you talking about the actual Army?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So like
I gotta make sure.
No, but it's a good compare. I love you to death, bro. It's a good comparison because we're all Army now too.
Yeah.
So like you just said, they came from humble beginnings. They did everything that all our idol members are supposed to do and everything like that. And to me, they transcended the genre. They transcended music. They can be categorized in almost anything. They have pure rap songs. They have pure pop songs. They have pure ballads. They have Spanish influenced songs.
Yep.
They can jump in whatever wheelhouse they want to jump into. They can do regular rap flows, melodic flows. They can have a high vibrato or like hit falsettos or do whatever musicality or production of music that you can think of. The group can do anything that they feel like doing. They can jump in any pocket. If they want to do a country song right now, they can do it.
Yeah. It's kind of like when you look at the argument of like, how when people say like with basketball, people will say, 90s basketball was a lot more physical and dominant as opposed to now we have positionless basketball. I think BTS is one of those positionless groups where you can't really compare them or put them up against other K-pop groups because they can do everything you do probably better because they can do it all so much. You know what I'm saying? They're not just stuck on one single position or one single lane.
Not only that, to cut you off, to add to your point, with the thing with 90s basketball, the game has changed. Same thing with music and music industry. Music consumption has changed.
Music consumption.
The whole, everything is more global now, everything like that. So the whole game's changed, whereas in the 90s, someone from Korea, and it is still kind of like hearing Korean music now, it'll be like someone like us or, people who are into that, or someone, a descendant of Korea, someone, like that. So you can listen to that now. That's not as absurd or just out the way as it would have been in the 90s, and like a center bringing the ball up, dribbling up the court. You know what I'm saying? So that's a very good parallel that you brought up.
Certain stigmas or social norms in music may not be those same norms that are confined today.
Almost every player has a tattoo now, or does crazy hairstyles, different hairstyles. Back then, you were either bald, a little buzz cut, whatever.
At one point, you were only wearing Chucks.
Exactly.
Like,
so those type of that's the perfect analogy for how like BTS or just even K-pop and everything like that is changed, and we're in a different time now.
Progresses, right? You can't classify people as just one thing. Like we said, Jay-Z is not just a rapper, or like even OJ, he's not just a football player.
Okay, so all that to say that I'm kind of on the same grounds as y'all. Where traditionally, if someone asked, I would say yes. But I think they are bigger. I honestly think they're bigger than music, which may not be fair neither if someone's just asking, a question based in musicality. But, we've grown to see their journey and everything like that. So I feel like the question we might take the question a little more personal than just speaking to a casual person. And not that I think Army needs to get that sometimes, is that sometimes like they are casual listeners of music that aren't in the norms.
Yeah, you could definitely run someone away from listening to something by how you act.
Yeah, and it's a certain approach. And even me, when I watched like my approach with y'all earlier, some of it is a little cringy. I feel like I might have been on y'all a little too much about certain things. And it's just, I think sometimes people need to take that into consideration when trying to teach someone something new. Like imagine if you didn't know it was like India pop or something like that, which it might be. I don't even know. But let's say like that was a thing or whatever, and you were trying to put someone on. You were talking about the whole Bollywood thing before or whatever, and we was just like, it's a major market. Most people may not even know that's the second or third highest Hollywood market anywhere. They don't need, and we had the whole argument that they don't need to leave that playhouse because you can make billions of dollars in this area here, and some people don't even know you exist.
Yeah.
When you look at the top 5 highest grossing actors for the past 5 or 6 years, it's always a Bollywood actor in the top 5, and people may not even know that person's name.
Probably never watched the movie or anything.
And
like
bro
that.
might have grossed 150 million American dollars that year. So it's just, some things that may seem, all that to say, some things that may seem like a social norm to you, sometimes you got to take into consideration that some people don't know that lane and have that approach when you talking about music.
It's all about different perspectives.
Yeah, but go off. I'm sorry.
To clarify the question one more time.
Do you consider BTS a K-pop group or just a pop group?
So I can viciously argue both. I can argue yes they are, and I can argue no they're not. So by definition, popular music, we got that, right? So, but in the same token, if somebody said, yo, Metallica's a pop group, I would argue no they're not. Why? Because despite the fact that the music is popular, they're a metal band. And that's how you would see them. Same thing with Aerosmith, same thing with Dave Matthews Band being progressive, same thing with Michael Jackson being R&B, even though we never classify him as R&B, which is funny, by the way. We always call him king of what?
Is rock taboo for pop music?
It depends.
Is it? Not the like.
I don't listen to rock.
It kind of depends on the
taboo
fan
in the
base.
sense of I've never in life heard any rock people just consider pop artists. It seemed like they
because
always
rock is supposed to be
it's supposed to be
counterculture.
It's supposed to be. It's supposed to be counterculture. It's supposed to be. We are our own self into thing. So like
we go against the social norms.
When he was
and
saying
shit
like
that.
genres like don't exist or whatever, and they just kind of use them to kind of square things off, and I'm like, well, that's not necessarily true. Because like, what would you call grunge? Grunge is literally the sound. That's literally what it is. It's different from everything else. It's isolated from a place, and not necessarily a race, but from a location, Seattle, Washington. Anything that came out of there is grunge, especially at a certain time. And it's not because they were broke and everything sounded nasty and shitty because they didn't have the money to get real equipment. So
and now you could buy everything they wore at Urban Outfitters.
Right, exactly.
So that's why people would say it's pop, but it's
not.
White T-shirt
like Nirvana. Like nobody would classify when you. So what's Nirvana? Nobody would ever say pop. They would first thing out of their mouth, grunge, and then maybe rock from then on.
Was a rock star.
But like, so you can argue both sides. You can say yes, they're pop, but no, they're not. They're an R&B group. They're a progressive group. They're like you say, Jay-Z can't be considered just a rapper. He kind of could be, but on the same token,
it would be by who?
Right, but on the same token, you can also say, well, he did do progressive rock with Linkin Park. So are we also going to put him in that category?
Who's an executive producer?
Probably body of
I was just about to say that.
Body of work.
Well, no, I mean, as an artist, he would be a rapper. As everything else behind the scene, the board is something completely different. And I don't think they're asking that. I think they're asking in the form of music, like in that realm of what are you as an artist? So as an artist, yeah, he would be a rapper, but he's also other things as well. Within that realm of music, because the type of music that he does and the way he branches out, you can't classify him in this bubble.
Businessman.
And I feel the same way about BTS, whereas you can't necessarily classify them in a bubble because of everything that they do. So we've talked about this before. Any mood that you're in, any mood that you feel, you can turn on a BTS song and you can get that vibe. Whether it's I want to hear hip hop, which is not R&B. I want to hear something with a little bit of rock riff to it, maybe like a little bit of a metal riff. That's not R&B.
I want to hit something.
Bubblegum pop.
I want some bubblegum pop, which is not R&B. I want a
ballad.
A ballad, which that would fall into R&B, but you can also get like some other things as well. Like so what Black Swan is like, what, trap?
No,
trap R&B.
Love is more
it's trap R&B.
It has trap elements.
Right.
Actually,
so technically, would that fit into the R&B?
You talking about from a production standpoint, right? Oh, okay,
right,
yeah.
Right.
I was like,
but that's so. Thank you too. Not to cut you off. That's also another thing too with the way that like SK music
you could
is
piss
set
somebody
up.
off by saying that.
Yeah. Like K-pop is so like wild sometimes where it might be a drill beat, but the whole concept and everything, like you said, is something totally different and stuff like that too.
I just
so it
think-
makes things wonky.
It won't be. I swear it won't be long before they get a drill beat over there.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait.
They
K-drill.
gotta have SK. They have drill because
Bro, put on some K-drill. They gotta have some K-drill. Let us know in the comments, Redeemers. What's up?
They got like French drill and everything too. So I know they got some K drill.
It's interesting
Simon
about
Dominic sells over there, right?
Is
he?
I think he cool.
Is he pop?
No.
But he's popular music. You see what I mean? Like,
I think
as
he's
much as you
popular
can,
to us.
I don't think he's going out intending
I don't think
to
he's
be.
not an idol.
Definitely not. And I don't think he's
he
going
would
out
be
intending
popular.
to be.
Y'all would know too though, but I think those in SK the rappers seem to want to be more rappers than they want to be pop
they set out
anything.
to
But here's the
distinguish
thing.
themselves from idols.
But you don't get to distinguish when you sell, because the moment you sell, you are technically pop.
So
which is my point.
is Jay Park a pop dude or a rap?
Jay Park is a.
So as much as
listen
I
to the
could
songs he
argue,
make, like Drive, Ganadara.
We just listened to the new IU joint.
Yeah, him and Ganadara. That's a pop song.
That's a pop song.
So Jay Park
But
is
he
more like
considers
a
himself a
Drake
rapper,
type.
though.
Yeah,
right.
He-
So as
but he
much as I
sings
could
as well.
argue
Yeah.
for them being
He's
pop,
definitely
I
Drake,
can
so I love
I can
that
violently
song.
argue
Yeah,
that they're not.
they're not.
So it's really kind of like I don't know. They really could be anything. It's really how you look at it, how you want to break it down, what you want to feel like that day, because honestly, that's really what it is. Like, so, oh, they're a pop group today. Tomorrow, no, they're not a pop group. And you would be right in both categories. It's just a matter of what side of the fence you fall on.
Yeah.
And it's fucking crazy because there's really, like, I don't know.
Yeah, because music is so interesting. I think we're getting to a point where it's like there's so many subgenres that you can't really pinpoint and be like they're doing that kind of music.
the walls are
right?
breaking down
Yeah,
now.
and I think that's beautiful, especially for artists, because it gives them the ability to not put themselves in a box, and that's why I love like K-pop, because it's K-pop, right? Like that's
Korean popular music.
pop, but they do so much. Like there's so many subgenres within like the K-pop world, like
subgenres
BTS.
in their own track.
In the groups, yeah.
You might hear,
You might hear, like,
you might be on
4
one
different
song and
things.
hear 4 different songs.
Let's play ball.
Like
four different vibes to it.
like in a tease track where you got like pirate yodel in there. You know what?
dope.
And this is going to sound weird, but to me, it kind of feels the same in the same vein. To me, the whole title of pop is almost an imaginary category, almost like you would say black on black crime. It's just an imaginary
And I want to get to Kurt too.
statistic.
I'm just
kinda
the reason I'm
quantify
gonna say
something.
no is because groups like NSYNC, artists like Britney Spears, those were intended to be pop
Popular
artists.
music,
They weren't intended to be in
Hannah
this
Montana.
genre or that genre. They were intended to be
but-
pop artists.
so-
and there's artists like that. So pop has
I get that, but what is? If you explain to me what is pop as a genre,
easily consumable music that's
That's
ubiquitous.
but is that a genre? Is that
Yes,
the same
yes,
as saying?
yes,
but
it is.
Okay, but is that the same as saying R&B and metal? You know what I mean? Like
It's a genre.
not.
R&B.
It's not the
I hear
same.
what you're saying.
There's
because
layers. There's layers to R&B where it could be subgenres, but pop itself is music.
Pop is for the masses.
Yeah.
man.
So
but
it's
my
ubiquitous.
thing
That's
is,
a certain
anything
type
could
of
be
music.
pop.
Right.
Anything could be pop.
Anything can be pop,
But not
there's a
anything could be metal. Not anything could be R&B.
There's
So is
a
that a
certain
genre?
there's a certain sound.
I think
that,
both y'all right.
There's a certain sound that comes with pop when you
No,
hear
no,
it. Be like,
no,
oh,
but that's the
I know
thing.
what I'm about to get
We're
with
both
this.
Nah, because
right.
he made a
Pop song.
perfect point.
Lolo
it
was
was
a
the
pop
white
song.
boy and then Lizzo. It's two completely
But
different
I
sounds
agree with
making
Will,
pop.
where
It's-
people
it's
can
the
generally
intent of
make
the
the
music.
intent
It's the-
of making a pop song.
It's the intent
That
of the
everybody
music
can
and the
listen to
sound
it.
when you come to it. If I, you know what I'm saying? Like if I hear something like the ice cream truck jingle or whatever like that, just
Let me
sped up
help
and
you.
put up some drums.
Me and Kay listened to a joint she had put me on. Most pop songs are in the same register and BPM.
Yes.
Like it's literally a focal length and like sound cues for every pop song. You can take 40 pop songs and throw them on, and they all are in the same course
On the same
and everything.
frequency.
So
Songs
I agree
that are
with Lo.
intended to be pop
songs that
songs.
are intended. So I agree with Lo on some groups are formed
agree.
to be pop. But yes, it is over categorized, and people throw popular music in just to be like the Baby is a pop artist.
Right.
Yeah, because he did the Dua Lipa song.
Yeah, well, even outside of that, he
But if
was
he
at
did
a time the most poppin' rapper.
But if you did a pop playlist, you might have Creed on there, or so like.
And see, this is where, but that's where the distinction comes in.
But
So
that's where it gets
the
crazy.
Songs,
That's
the
what I'm saying.
songs that are intended to be pop, like "Hit Me, Baby, One More Time," right? And
But
then you have a
but
song
could you also
like
consider
Unfree.
that R&B?
Huh?
Could you
Hell
also
no.
consider that R&B?
Nah, not with those.
So
not with that BPM.
I think the BPM, the beat
not the way
production.
she wasn't even really. She's not singing. So you can't consider that R&B. It's a black way. You know what I'm saying? But like I
She wasn't
said,
singing.
So
this is my last part. And
Genie in a
I'm
Bottle,
give it
would
to
that be
Kurt.
considered R&B?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, that's pop.
Oh, see
pop.
now.
I thought you was about to say pop.
Wait a minute.
I consider that pop because they
But she sang.
I think that's a good fusion.
But she
though.
sang and sang.
That has R&B elements,
but
but pop chorus.
the production
No, but see,
itself
and
is pop.
but here's the thing. I completely
Hey,
agree.
Kurt.
I 100% agree with everything you're saying. But that's the problem.
No, my
That's
last
the
point, like I
confusion.
said, I was about to give off before I pass it to Kurt,
Kurt.
right? Listen to this. Like I said, "Hit Me, Baby, One More Time," #1 on the charts, right? Shaggy, "It Wasn't Me," is on there. You know what I'm saying? But you listen to it. Pop is usually a light, upbeat sound that's generally a repetitive hook
As a musical genre.
Yes, as a musical genre, that's what pop is. But when you can have songs from other genres that become hit songs and they're popular.
Who's supposed to song "Rude"?
Huh?
The why you gotta be so rude?
I don't know. It's a
With
band
the
name. I
Jamaican
think-
blend.
is it Magic?
You see what I mean? Yeah, Magic. Yeah,
Or anything Pitbull or Flow Rider.
Yeah,
Exactly. Those songs that
and you like, is this
other
pop?
genres
You
that
like,
could
well,
be
it's a
hits.
Latina.
So
Whitney Houston, "I Will Always Love You."
'Cause
That's
it's house
clearly a
music
ballad,
pop, right.
You know what I'm saying? But it became a
Is
dominant
house music
song.
pop? Because it has
No.
that high like beat.
You said what? House music usually have
House music
harder
is house
drums.
music because
It's
that's
not
always
house
been
music, it's
a
a certain
genre.
drum set
If it
and
happens to
everything
be
in there.
popular, it'll be a subset, which is the whole point of what I'm trying to say. Like it's we talk about
Even
pop in
EDM
two
does that
different
shit, too.
veins. We talk about pop as a genre, which there are some songs that definitely fit in there because they're made for that.
Yeah.
But we also throw everything else that's popular in it and shake it up, and you can't because
That
it's
shit is
not a
just
part
arguments.
of that genre.
Just turn down for turn down for what a pop song.
I would say that is
a very popular song, but it's an EDM
Yeah,
song.
it's
Yeah.
an EDM track, but
Okay,
it's just
you might know
became a
this.
hit.
Spin Doctors, Two Princes.
Yeah.
Is that a pop song or is that like a
That sounds like a
an
light
alternative
rock
song?
an alternative song, but it's a hit, so it's popular.
But it still
like I
kind of
said,
fits that BPM though a
there's
little bit.
distinction.
Just
Nah,
go
that's not with that
ahead
guitar in
now.
there. That's that was the guitar, but
Hit me.
But also another
some of Britney
EDM
Spears
song
got
too.
guitar
let's give it to
joints.
Kurt. Let's give it to Kurt. Let's get Kurt in because we still got other stuff.
You can say what you guys say.
My
Like,
man's
some
writing a
of
whole
Britney
thesis.
Spears songs do have like guitar riffs to kind of like shake it up, but they're still. I mean, like
The drums,
And
though.
honestly, we could talk about this all day because it is such a very, very paper thin line, and you can be right or wrong at any given time. More right than anything because you're right on both sides of the fence. It's just so hard to pinpoint and dictate what pop is and what we want to quantify as pop when we throw everything in the bag. Like it's hard to do. It really is.
It's just popular music. Kurt, I'm gonna let you talk too. If you literally can go on your Apple joint right now, Google pop music for that year, it's gonna give you all of the top 10 or 15 most popular
look at the
songs.
most 100
of that
popular
track.
songs. It's
You'll
gonna
see
be a whole
ballads
bunch
on
of
there. You'll
shit.
see R&B shit. You'll see rock shit
It's
on
crazy
there.
because y'all
That's
all
all it
making
is.
good points, but it's like pop is so vague.
It is.
But it's like
a
so
vague
vague, but so specific at the same time.
It is.
Because it's like really, I
the
think
biggest pop
pop
song for
music,
2021.
if
BTS
you're
with
going
Javelin.
into the studio, right, and your
Love it,
intention is to make a pop song,
My shit.
for a lot of artists, that's overwhelming because you start overthinking like, damn, what
It
is
needs
a
to be
pop
lighter.
song?
Oh my god, it needs to
no.
be catchy. It needs to
You
be
got
funny, though.
you got a
Levitate.
formula. Now, if you like
Kiss
so
Me More, Way Too Sexy.
you'll see
Stay
some
Easy
things
on Me,
where
Better Days, Bad,
I never forget, Six
Run.
Black. He said, I would never do like the Migos type of style, or I would never fall into that BPM because if it hits, now I'm a slave to that. Now I have to do this every single time if I want to be successful because now that's what I'm trapped in. And he's like, I refuse to do that. So I'm always going to do me. I'm always going to do my style, but I just don't want to do that because once you do that, it's hard to go back to being yourself and being true to yourself because that money is talking to you now. So
Shit, I'd rather be a pop artist than a rapper though. Shit.
That's you.
that's you. Some people actually like the art of it.
Good luck making them songs in the
I
basement.
want to make pop artists money. I'm not about to be abashed about that. I want to make pop artists
Yeah,
money.
no doubt.
Yeah.
No
As
doubt.
a
But
rapper-
sometimes it's hard.
Why can't I do both? Though?
No, that's what I'm saying.
You can have quality.
But this is
and
the thing,
be
you
like-
can, but it's hard.
It's very hard, especially
That's the essence of
as
this whole
a
argument.
rapper.
You're gonna be chasing that shit
Right.
the whole time. You're gonna be
BTS
chasing
doing it?
hits.
Yeah, but they're an anomaly.
Jay-Z did it.
Kirk in the corner.
Kurt go.
I know it's so complex of everything because everything is so paper thin and everything, but realistically, it's also really simple. Both things are true. It's the nature-nurture argument in psychology. Both things are true. You can point to individual examples within everything and say they were brought up this way. It's the way they were brought up. They're nurturing. And then the same, oh, they never had any ties to this, way of life and they fell down that path. Nature. Like, there's just...
That was deep.
Both things can be true. They don't have to be... I think the point of the video is less about the actual definition of everything that people want to create, because that's subjective. But what it is more so about seems to be just the stigma attached to it. Like, if you're outside, whether it's America or anywhere else, and you hear K-pop, you're going to get those popular aspects of it, and you're going to form a certain opinion about the genre. And where BTS differentiates themselves from that stigma or from those attributes associated to the genre, that's where, like, it's essentially, it's a blessing and a curse. It's like, there are those aspects in it, but mind you, even within the K side of K-pop, like we're just talking about pop, even within the K side of that, they are blending the Confucian elements, right? The values, the morality, and all those sort of things, while also being incredibly progressive and changing things and not being afraid to speak out against government, issues or oppression or things that they just disagree with. So even within the K aspect of it, they're differentiating from norms while also being familiar with the norms. And it's just the complexity of the group is what it boils down to. So yes, they are K-pop, but ultimately it's such a thin marginal description that you don't want to create a paradox for yourself or a catch-22 where someone trying to poke their head in to see what K-pop is about, they're going to recognize a familiarity. And BTS will have tracks or will have an identity. They're the highest, grossing, selling group. All those attributes. So they're seen as the poster of K-pop, but yet simultaneously they're differentiating from it in such a way, that they can't just be K-pop. So both things are true, but it's more about the conversation, like how I forget the name of the person in the video, but. How they had said basically it's about the American media side of what we see as K-pop. And basically the whole point of this is just to break those stigmas and say, yes, like they are K-pop, but from what is being covered of them in our mainstream of K-pop, they're not. Like BTS is not defined, or you're going to form a picture of what you see through 99% of what the news portrayal is over here of them, and they're completely opposite from that, or that's just the tip of the iceberg. So all that to say, yes, both things are true, but it's more about the stigma attached to the label, I think, rather than the label itself.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say, and that's why
I was going to tell you something too.
In my comment, I said it depends on who you're talking to, honestly, and because really before getting into K-pop, I didn't have a negative connotation of K-pop. I just had my thought of it all being like super amped up psy music. I didn't even think of it as idol music because I never, like I said, I've heard of individuals. I've never heard of groups. I never knew what the fuck an idol was, anything like that until we did this. So when I see it, I don't have that negative stigma of it being bad or, the industry and everything like that. I mean, the stigma of...
You may be a bit more open than some people too.
Yeah,
though.
well, that too. I like to give something a chance before I shit on it. But when I shit on it, it's crazy. But it's your man's. He looking at me like that, bro. Yeah. So yeah, I'm more open than I guess your average person or something like that. But like I said, it's really that conversation is really just who you're talking to, you know, and what you're trying to get across and everything like that. I never had any bad stigmas with even being a hardcore rap fan. When I was younger, I was more into, I cared more about lyrics and everything like that. I never had like a disdain for pop. It just because it had a place. I fucking love Genie of the Bible. I sing that shit in my heart, and you know what I'm saying. So it's really, like I said, it's nuance and who you talking to. I can understand why some people, and particularly why some Army have this negative connotation with pop and specifically K-pop. In BTS, like you said, they did the Idol song, you know, talking about it and everything like that. You know, everyone has their own opinions on it. Like I said, it's a yes and no, and you know, two things can be true. But yeah, as far as that conversation, I think that was, I like how we all did that. What was the second thing? That was.
Oh shit, that was the first one.
What's crazy was that kind of was the first joint.
That's what I'm saying. What was this? The second joint, he was.
This video might get divided into 3 parts. It's gonna be 3 hours.
The video essay. What was the second part? Can you? Well, technically speaking, the first part was identifying what K-pop was. The second part was identifying who BTS is.
Before that, bro.
And the third part,
yeah, it was way before that, because he did the 3 questions and then he went into individual one and broke it down.
Yeah.
Almost there. Almost.
The first one was what was K-pop?
Yeah,
that's
it right there. It's the first question was what's K-pop.
It's gonna be a list.
The second joint was who BTS is.
It was
and
around
the third
there.
joint,
Nah,
I think it was
skipped
like
too
3
far,
questions.
bro.
Damn,
The
bro.
third question was BTS.
I think we
versus
kind of
it.
took 1 and 2 at the same time.
Yeah, you said we basically tackled 1 and 2. So
Yeah, because one we already, not like we already know what K-pop
last
is, but
one
we
was-
that was our whole general basis of talking about
Like,
what pop
who is
was
BTS
itself
or
in
something
America.
like that.
So I think, all right, well, cool. Then we just jump. You can cut all that part out.
Shout out Elliot.
And we just jump back into, all right,
Yeah, but
thoughts on it, random thoughts, I guess. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Shout out
but-
Elliot.
yeah, for the most part, like I said, we cool. I think we kind of took 1 and 2, and we knew what that was already, and kind of did that, and then we essentially answered his
Answered
question
3, right.
all together
In the
and stuff like
process
that. But outside of that, was there anything in the video that kind of stood out to y'all, or anything that y'all wanted to touch on that was in the video?
It was well done. And I mean, you know, we've had
Conversations about overviews.
And like not being thorough, and at least not even doing the research to make it plausible. Like if you're going to take the time to do this, at least have the the information correct. And I mean, if it's not correct, fuck, I couldn't tell, bro. Like he had about maybe 30 points of reference in his bibliography. He did a bibliography, points for that, at the end of his video. And I respect the time and effort he put into it. So if he did forget something, it doesn't seem like, oh, let me just read off a Wikipedia page and this is what it is.
It's not egregious, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It didn't feel like didn't give a fuck anyway. Say what you was gonna say.
Right. Exactly.
I like you for that.
I like that energy. It didn't feel like just an overview.
But it felt like he gave a shit
This
about
is
the subject
something
matter.
to
You know what I mean?
The connotations.
Oh yeah. And
First of all, my bad. I was just gonna say something.
Go off, bro.
Nah, it's just crazy that they was Army was beefing with Shane Dawson. That's just funny. To me. That's just funny to me. Yo, he was beefing with everybody.
Well, though you wanted to cut.
Well, I
talk
was
about the
I was gonna say
notation
it's-
of just the girls.
That's what I wanted to get into too.
Yeah.
The connotations of
Velveteen.
K-pop
That shit is funny.
itself, as it pertains to how.
Are you about to be on the stance of like people need to stop acting like certain things aren't true too in K-pop?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I wasn't going to say that, but
we
now
can
that
go
you-
there if you wanna go.
But now that you bring it up, yeah, let's
can
go
go
there.
Yeah.
There is
go
there,
there.
like because like you said, they're an
Let's get
idol.
spicy.
Group. They went through the idol.
You
training
think people
system.
can't have things both ways? Be like, no, that's not what it is. And
think
sometimes
people
it
need
is
to-
what it is.
I think people need to be honest and understand that some things, like everything, can't be.
They're like, we're not
one
here for
way.
sexiness, but JK's sexy as fuck. You be
Like I said, if our Discord join is any indication, or if you look at the comments on any YouTube videos and stuff like that, the personal videos on the guys, and not just them, other idols and groups.
yeah, just idols in general.
You know what I'm saying? Some idols are just. I see them. The comments be nothing but sexualized comments, and it's from women too. So it's not a one way street of men just looking at girls in school,
Like a
girl
piece of
outfits
meat.
and shit
Women
like
are
that.
Isn't the prerequisite of being a K idol is the sexiness?
You have to be attractive.
You have to be a
So
certain level of
it's a factor that's at least considered.
It's a major factor. I
You know
don't
what the
think,
funny
and
part is?
especially with everything that we hear about SK and the beauty standards, I don't think they would push anyone that they felt was truly unattractive. And like I said, that's so much a part of it. Why do you want them to be attractive? Because people are going to watch someone that they're attracted to. They're going to spend money and
human
go
nature.
see and everything
Sex
like
sells.
that. People that they're attracted to. So yes, sex
real quick,
sells.
if I didn't think that before, when we did the Blackpink thing, and he said they took 21 and literally just brought in more attractive people to do the same exact thing. Like, if that didn't tell you what their mind state was, that they have to be beautiful first and foremost, because he literally said, "Oh yeah, we're just gonna get 4 more girls to do the same exact thing that you do, only they're gonna be prettier."
With
Like,
less music. We're not going to, you know what I'm
Right,
saying? We're
but
going to
like-
have it more of a brand kind of
but
thing.
like-
and we can keep
but
it
like,
funky.
that's
That's not
crazy.
that's not even just an SK thing.
No, no,
That's
no,
just-
that's
business.
across the board. That's across the
that's
board
just
thing.
business. But some people will just make
but
certain
that
things
goes to your
seem like,
that goes to your
you know,
point though, that you have to be a visual first and foremost. Like Jin was a visual.
Yeah.
They didn't know what he could do. They just knew he was handsome.
You literally picked up
So-
off the street
oh, that's
because you look
right.
beautiful.
Right.
You handsome boy, come here. Yeah,
I think that's what he said. Like, yo, handsome boy, come here.
back the fuck up.
It's worldwide handsome.
Like, no.
Yeah, roll credits.
roll credits. But no, what was your point? I didn't mean to cut you off. I just really wanted to add
Oh
a
no,
little
I'm
bit
just
more
saying,
onto
like
that.
those things when it comes to stuff like that, you gotta have a sense of honesty with yourself, and I think maybe because we're from older generations, we're from a time where calling yourself a stan was weird. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't something to be
Proud of.
You know
all.
what I'm saying?
Go watch Eminem.
Literally,
Joel, if you want.
Eminem's origin of stan and Nas pushing the term stan into the lexicon were two negative things. Stan was a fucking psycho that was obsessed with Eminem. It was based on a real fucking fan. You know what I'm saying? Beautifully portrayed by Devin Sawa in the video.
My guy.
But yeah, so and then Nas pushed stan as a term into the hip hop lexicon to describe someone who, as we would call him, a dick eater.
Yeah, a dick eater. You're a fanatic.
Yeah,
a fanatic.
You're a fanatic. You're a fan. You obsessed with me. You know what I'm saying? Fast forward to now. Some people do show those traits of that. I guess they call it with the shashang. So, but some people do show those traits when you're delusional about certain things. And I'm not here to convince anyone or tell them to go any other way with stuff. But some things, some of these comments that you hear and some of the stuff, I try to take it with a grain of salt because I know the audience. But there is some merit to the whole young woman thing of it being young women are mainly, the target audience or this and that stuff. Because naturally, you just won't go up to or as a young boy, and not speaking for every boy, you're not going to be like, hey, listen to this group of ripped young dudes in makeup and with earrings or with their hair super did and everything like that. That's not gonna get me to listen to somebody. I didn't listen to B2K because of that. I listened because some of their songs are slapping. You know what I'm saying? So that's the
Shout out to Will Smith.
Oh my goodness. The selling points for things are different. So yes, Army is diverse and it's a lot of us, different ages, everything like that. But you cannot deny that that's the initial selling point of that. And who were most of the people that you would see at those early BTS shows before they got to the most beautiful moment in life era?
Can I elaborate a little more?
Go
on
ahead,
that?
yeah.
So let me ask you something personal. Who was your first? I'm not gonna say not idol group, but I don't even know if I want to reference boy group. Who was your first group growing up? Because I feel like it was Jodeci or New Edition. But was your first group that you kind of idolized as a little kid?
I really thought it could be in B2K.
I know that would have been
look like
around.
you
I
could
know
be
that would have
a
been around.
B2K.
Yeah,
No
it's
cap.
giving fizz a little.
No cap, bro.
You do got fizzy
I
fizzy
didn't
vibes.
idolize B2K.
I thought I was a member.
I definitely tried. I started rapping because of Bow Wow.
Okay.
I started writing raps because Bow Wow was like, I saw how girls responded to that. I saw how girls responded to B2K and the whole singing thing. I just was afraid to sing, like I said, because that was something that wasn't nurtured in the area. But I'll answer your question with this. The first person I ever idolized was Usher. And to this day, I still idolize him. That was my first tape.
So can I ask you something else too then?
Yeah.
What's the chances of 10 young boys in America kind of wanting to rap and idolize Bow Wow versus, let's say, 10 girls that might want to, either kind of really want him. You get where I'm going with this?
No, yeah.
What do you think is the bigger? Who's the bigger demographic or market?
Women are always the bigger demographic with popular music because they're going to go out and support it because they have a different
women
kind
are
of
the
attachment.
best demographic period for
They are.
If you get women to
their
support
buying
you,
power is literally more than men
If
and
you-
everything else and stuff like
now,
that.
but now that we have social media and different groups have.
That's yeah, and I'm thinking about it.
Well, now that we have different groups and niches
That's
of
a weird
people that
conversation.
identify a specific way and they're able to come
women-
together now, specifically like LGBT. Look at their buying power. Look at what they do. Look at how they're marketed to now from, whether it be car sales during Pride Month last year. Remember how crazy all the commercials and everything like that, all the places that had like rainbows up and stuff like that, or other groups, whether it be black people, whether it be based on ethnicity, religion, however you want to slice it, where you're from, it's different now. Whereas it used to just try to get women to support them. How to get women to support them, especially from the 80s on, where music videos became popular and your visual was important and your individuality,
Sex symbols.
all that shit was important. They're still the biggest demographic. And younger girls now, like I said, there is still going to be put some attractive young men in front of them and make them sing and move and whatever like that. Now, is that the end all be all of BTS? Hell no. And it should. And I would tell people that it's not that. That's why you get people looking at us crazy like, "Oh, you going where to the BTS concert?" Nigga, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to enjoy myself. Because they don't understand. Because that's all they see, and that's not just because that's all they know of K-pop. That's all they know of popular groups and music. In any way, you see a bunch of sexy
looks to get
young
someone to
dudes.
come in there. Personality to get someone to stay.
Exactly.
Remember that.
And that's where I'm going with that. Because, like I said, to deny that fact of the attraction would just be a bold-faced lie. It would just be to be delusional at this point. Or you're not accepting the, you know what I'm saying? You're not accepting the truth of the matter. That's the first part of it.
Yeah, and I say all that to say, like, those aren't like direct shots at like anybody or fan bases or anything.
Yeah.
But we have ran into people who kind of act like some of that stuff is just non-existent. And like I said, if you're being honest with yourself and stuff like that, like you can't say someone's like a sex symbol and then at the same time say like that they're not being objectified or not being used for that particular reason. It's just kind of like a contradictory statement. It's just like, well, how are you saying people aren't here for one thing, but then another one of your comments is just kind of like, well, I would do this to him, or I would. So clearly, bull, these are attractive men and everything. Trust me, they're not thrusting their hip kind of for us and stuff. They doing it to
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so. And if they are, that's their prerogative. But I'm pretty sure it's to entice a certain demographic and have certain people come in. And it could be, oblivious and really be to anybody and stuff like that. But going off of pop music and everything for decades, it most of the time is enticed at the younger women and everything all like that.
It reminds me of the Jonas Brothers on South Park with the promise rings.
The promise rings. We're here to sell purity rings.
No, but I feel like that's absolutely the case. I'm trying to figure out a way to say this without being too abrasive.
Do it. This is a safe place. I know what you want, sir.
Say it.
Okay.
I'll say something more out of pocket so that they forget about what you
Tell
said.
them that.
So I agree with what you said, but it's also built on the illusion that whoever is putting down the money, whoever is putting down, buying the tickets, whoever is buying the poster books, whoever is buying the music, that person that you're supporting actually knows you're alive, actually gives a shit about you, and you actually have a chance with them.
They're attainable.
When you go to the concert, that out of everybody in the damn, and you see it in music videos too, like Tenderoni or something like that, where he'll reach out into the crowd and pluck that one girl from obscurity and bring her up there and make her like the princess for the night. That's not you.
Damn. I'm like, where's the abrasion then?
But like, could be. But that's the selling point. And
they do that with women too. Though Nicki Minaj had a
no.
boyfriend for years, and no one knew. They thought it was a backup dancer.
Oh, niggas knew, they just didn't care.
Or they didn't care.
Well, but see, like we're different. Like
Casual
you can have a
stuff.
boyfriend in the other
I
room,
think
and
they
we
know
still try to
stuff.
holler. But they want that fairy tale. You know, he's only looking at me. That Prince Charming on the white horse coming down, scooping up Cinderella out the gutter and taking her to the castle. That's the illusion that they're being sold on. But it's also the illusion that they're building in their own head for themselves. Like, I can show you, but you are putting it, like you are digesting it. This is now your reality, and it's not. And it sucks, but that's what most of these people are building off of. And it goes right what you were saying. Like, you see them as sex symbols. And again, we've heard and we've seen people, don't objectify him that way, but god damn, look at his ass. Like, I mean, you can't
have it
both ways. You gotta.
There's
pick
not.
a
There's
side.
and like I said, this is not just relegated to BTS. This is
Yes, this is
every
across the
single
board.
idol group I've seen. Anything I went in on the comments,
I mean,
and I'm not gonna act like
and
I
here
haven't
too.
said some sexual comments. About
Bruh, have you seen our Blackpink reactions?
I don't
you say
think
anything with drink culture. Me,
this is a little bit controversial here, but I don't think objectifying somebody is a bad thing.
Depending on the context. And
depending on it's some objects. I mean, if you're materialistic, we all love certain objects. Like we like diamonds, we like money. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna say, oh, those are some beautiful ass shoes. I like that object. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you want to take it, I think when you objectify somebody, you know when somebody's only doing that just for their body. Like, you know when somebody's just like,
Nicki Minaj got a fat ass.
Nicki Minaj got a fat
You know
ass.
what? Perfect
Like,
example. Remember, I put that interview with Persephone in the joint, and dude was like, "Yo, how big are your titties?"
No, DC was going.
But
even
but
I, as
that's,
a man,
but
I
that's
was like,
what
damn.
she does.
That's
She
true.
makes her money
I
off
still
of her-
thought he was being
it was
extra.
Wild.
I was like,
it was
damn, bro.
wild.
Like, I was like, yo.
But she makes her money off her body. She ain't singing shit.
No,
she
yeah,
ain't
that's
acting
true.
Shit.
That's
Like,
very true.
She makes her money off her body.
But that's
off
because
of those
I didn't
double
know
G's.
her. I didn't know who
Right.
she was, but at the same time,
But
it's still,
on the outside looking
seeing
in, it's
the
like, yo,
clip-
that's crazy.
Seeing the clip is kind of like, god damn, bro. Like,
People definitely know who they can talk to.
I mean,
certain
them
days
Jones
and
was
other
crazy,
stuff,
but,
too. Yeah.
But it's kind of like what Jessie does every now and again with these idols. Like, she'll say whatever she wants because she knows the hot points. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Kurt Meyer.
Kurt, you good?
I don't really have anything to add to that, honestly.
I want my Patreon money back. School's out, motherfuckers.
School's out. You guys graduated.
Kurt only spoke for 2 minutes.
Yo, it's like, you ever seen the Goofy
No, I have
movie,
stuff to
Last
say
Day
about
of School?
the
Throw your
video,
books and shit away.
but not
Go
to
off.
that.
Go on.
That was my yeah.
Lead the charge. You can segue into something new that you want to talk about.
No, you're good. Like, I just want to make sure.
I think,
No, bro, yeah, yeah.
was your point? Was your points done with that?
Yeah.
I think that was a pretty good synopsis of that. Like, sex sells, but it is not the end all be all of it shouldn't be the end all be all of artists. But there are people
Isn't
out
this
there-
the height now of like glorifying things? Like, I'm all for like women empowerment and everything, as far as like being like having you doing what you want to do, as long as it's like classy and stuff like that. I done been around women and stuff
See, but
now
that's
who
a
are,
problem
who are,
too,
who are
though.
like free the nipples.
but classy is a thing now too, because they
Hashtag
consider
free the
that
nipples.
part of
Well, I'm saying as far
I
as
know
like
what you
not
mean.
being not being like I don't want to say the word grotesque, but doing things like where sometimes things
overt.
Where you're overt, yeah,
And
exactly.
vulgar,
Where it's
yeah.
just very vulgar and like an
So-
ill taste with certain
So
things.
I think it's the audience. It's that question if Idris Elba grabs your ass as opposed to, I don't know, Tyrone Hill grabs your ass.
That's fucked up.
It's either going to be
Tyrone Hill for
it's going to be what?
Oh, you talking about grab my ass?
No, a female.
I'll beat Idris the fuck up.
But, you know what I mean?
any self-respecting
It's-
woman should want no
it's-
one to
it's
touch them
sexy.
without their permission.
Yeah,
Sound like Jared?
but that's not reality. So, but it's like on one hand, somebody will call it harassment,
On
and
one
the other
hand,
hand, on the other hand, it'll be like
An
ooh,
invitation.
Yeah, it'll be
I
an
think that's
invitation.
nuanced too, and based on the setting. Like I said,
Not for everybody,
Yeah,
but
obviously,
Depends on who it is.
you would meet some people who like they like to be objectified because they like attention.
They like the attention.
They see
Yeah.
that's the way to get attention. So the
Whatever
objectification
floats your boat.
is not even. They don't look at it as a negative. You know what I'm saying? And it's an interesting
dynamic.
to everything like that. But
Yes. Plus, some stuff might be. I don't want to go too deep or go too left. Like some stuff, I don't want to say maybe fantasy based.
Yeah.
Like we've had this conversation in Discord. A rando might touch somebody or do something, and it's to go left. if Jimin or somebody grabs somebody, you know, that's an army, that shit might be just
right here, right now.
Fast as Jimin's show to come out, their show might come out too.
Back to that South Park episode.
Jimin.
Remember the girls? They brought them backstage, and they was like, "I hope you don't think we're about to do anything." The Jonas Brothers walked out. That shit like. So it's just like that's hilarious, and like we said, that's not everyone.
Yeah.
But it's interesting when you talk to people and you see what they say. I told you, I knew this girl fine as shit. She's still my homie. We cool and everything, and I don't look down on her for this, but I was surprised by it. And we was just having a conversation one day. We was talking about Future. She was like, "Yeah, I send him a DM every day, or I send him a DM all the time. Like, yo, I want to be your baby mom. I want to have your baby. Blah blah blah." And like. The way I look at her or the way I see her, like she's fine as shit. And so it's just like, for real, she's like, yeah, I could probably be on like a reality TV show or something like that. Love Hip Hop, I can get a bag and everything.
Hey, man, whatever floats
like
your
I
boat.
said, I'm not judging, but it's interesting because, like I said, when we talk about like class or just how you carry yourself or whatever, like
just
that,
had that full conversation about something else.
Some people look at this shit totally different. They don't have society's same ideals. Especially old society now, because think that, like I said, social media has made it so easy for people to connect with people like them.
Does that woman you're talking about, does she hold herself in high regard? Like on normal?
Bro, she's a tech sergeant. She has her own money. She's doing good for herself. She is.
That's why life is really funny, because like you said, I'm one of them people. I tend not to judge anybody for anything as long as ain't nothing heinous.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if people kind of just living their life, I don't slut shame, and I let people kind of like do them. It's, you
unless
know,
you out here pissing on somebody.
Yeah. Life is not promised. Have fun today.
Hey man, if you see Pete coming your way, you either get out of the way.
But I do find it funny.
No, we keep that.
Keep that slung. So I do find it funny that people will kind of be like they'll have standards for one thing, and then how quick those standards can go out the window for certain things.
How famous and rich you are.
Yeah, so it's just like, you know, we know a lot of women like that too, and men who have certain morals and certain standards, and just be like, I would never be a baby mom, and yo, I would never cuff a chick with an OnlyFans, like that's dead.
But let
Ruby Rose or somebody, like, you know what I mean, be in here, and it's just like, yeah, it's my girl now, bro.
That's why I don't judge. You never know.
I don't judge because you just I never cuff a whore. I'll never do this.
Who's the chick that Kanye was with? The one from Philly.
I'm not. Oh, okay. I was supposed to say, depending on who you at, I'm not about to drop names.
But let them actually like be face to face with that option. That song gonna change real fast, bro.
Like such and such is da-da-da-da. And it's just like, bro, like just you never know what's up. And I just find that funny how quick people's like morals and everything like that has changed. Jesus Christ, hashtag pressure.
Shorty that.
She were watching. It's like,
she know I love her. That's my homie. Like I said, I don't judge her for it. I was just surprised. She was like, yeah,
I love her
dead
too.
serious.
Yeah, I love you too, homie.
Yeah.
so,
Loving the crew.
She out there handle business.
But yeah, Kurt, I know you wanted to segue. You still had something to say about the video.
I was just going to segue with the video. Was basically like, I mean, to touch on what you guys were saying just first, like, I definitely understand where you're coming from. It's definitely a factor, and that's the thing. Now, granted, you don't have to, you know, like, focus on it as much, or not, like, maybe not even focus, but just speak on it, or let that aspect of it dominate the conversation as far as, like, you know, the merits of, like, you know, because again, it could be simply something that entices, but it's not the reason you stay, so to speak, for those reasons. But all that to say, like, you know, like, I get what you guys are saying, but as far as the end of this, I did want to, first of all, I just did want to, you know, compliment, you know, how well presented the video was, how layered, you know, the information was, and the fact that, you know, it was respectful. He had his opinions, but he stated his facts as well, you know, towards the end. And I just think that's, you know, even if you're just in school in general learning about, you know, just writing your essays or anything like that, like, that's kind of the general idea. But obviously, you know, things get put out and on YouTube, and it's just kind of, you know, like, people just kind of want to say, you know, their opinion, but you don't even have to support it almost nowadays, just because of the clickbaitiness of things. And it's not to say that that's where people's intentions come from inherently. Like that's not necessarily the goal someone may set out to do, like as far as like clickbaiting people and everything like that. But it just literally could be that you saw a wrong article or you were fed wrong information, and then you kind of let it in turn, you know.
Rather than checking for yourself, you kind of took it in.
But all that to say, and that's what I also find amazing that you know, our amazing Redeemer, Army not Army, because he was always providing us, you know, and clarifying things for us in such great in-depth detail, and allowing us to learn and allowing us to, you know, have the correct information going forward and everything. Right. So the fact that, you know, this was recommended by her, I already held it to, you know, that high regard.
Sure.
But
fuck with the Redeemers, man.
no, but that's just
no matter what.
That's
some of them.
That's like the gift that keeps on giving. You know what I mean? Like letting us kind of be able to see like a much more proper information about all these things. But nah, I just basically wanted to touch on those aspects of it.
I think this is a very great video. I love what we do here, guys. This is so much fun.
I forgot we was recording.
Yo, for real, this is how it is.
Just like that
here.
when you get in the moment.
We're just talking. First and foremost, Army not Army, like we said. Kamsahamnida, thank you for this. Definitely send us some more videos like this, because we definitely love to get our talks on.
Shout out to Elliot.
And it's a lot
shout out to
it's a lot easier to have these
Elliot.
conversations too when we can trust the information that we're pulling from as well. You know what I mean? Where we're not like second guessing, is this even right before I speak on it? You know, I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I'm pretty sure we all kind of feel like we can take him at his word value from the video. And
like I said, the bibliography did it for me.
Right. When I saw bibliography, I ain't seen one of them shit since the 3rd grade. Like,
well, I mean, you had your, you know, objective topics, but then you're not using it to persuade, because at the end you're then presenting your, you know, your side of what the information is presented.
And anything he talked about, he cited.
He also made things very clear when things were his opinion versus what was facts and everything.
And
too.
I actually just thinking about it now, I love the like, I know inherently with, you know, video essays and things, you don't like, it can be kind of, you don't want to seem like so bored, I guess, watching video essays where things seem, you know, like
a lecture.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. If you're invested in a topic, it might not come across that way. But I think the way he actually went about presenting his information was actually relatively, you know, engaging as far as the, like, he had the cartoon drawings and things like that.
I literally about to say his RM thing was hilarious.
That was hilarious. But also the fact that even when he was describing, you know, them against the big three and everything, and how, like, you know, he minimalized it and then scaled it and everything. It's just visual. Like, a lot of people are visual learners, and just little aspects like that, you know, definitely kept the engagement going while also, you know, the information was engaging too. All I have to say, he did an amazing job though.
Dope video, dope recommendation, and I feel like this is a.
We're probably gonna be checking out more bro content.
Yeah, this is beyond a reaction. This is a good analysis. Analysis. You good, bro? This is a good analysis we did here. I love it, but no long talk. Biggest Sabora hey to our armies.
Love you. Take care.
Our Redeemers. Love y'all.
Holla. See you next time.